Hello, Queens. Welcome to a bit of a different podcast episode today. You will be watching or listening to, in this episode, a pre-recorded group coaching call that I did, I think a couple of years ago now, this recording is, but it was a great one. And so I wanted to share it with you because if you haven't heard the news already, it might be on my Instagram at this point, maybe not. I am pregnant and my due date is the 20th of November. I mean, who knows when the baby will decide to come, right? But I'm doing some prep beforehand, hence it looks like summer as I'm recording this right now because it's the end of August right now. So this is the intro that I'm going to pop in before the video of the group coaching call. And I just wanted to introduce it. So I'm not going anywhere. I'm here still on Instagram. I just might be a bit slower to respond for a couple of weeks, that's all. I'm still coaching. I've got someone very special helping me in the background with my clients. You may or may not know who she is. So still reach out if you are curious about coaching, etc. But I'm, as I say, being organized. So this is the intro to a pre-recorded group coaching call. I hope you get a lot out of it and enjoy. Lots of love. Welcome, ladies. Welcome, welcome. I was just chatting to myself before I let you all in, saying I'm very excited for this. Can't wait to support you through anything you need support with. If you would like to tell me where you're from in the chat and how you feel today in 3 words as I let people in, I would love to hear from you all. So where you're from, how you feel today in 3 words, and then when everyone is here, we will get started. And I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas. This time between Christmas and New Year is apparently called Twixmas, which is kind of cute. Don't know who made that up, but there we go. Nice to see you, Heather. Hello, my love. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so in the chat, I've not seen anyone write yet, and that's okay if you don't want to, just as I'm letting everybody in and doing 2 things at once. If you share where you're from and how you feel today in 3 words. Hey, Sam, I know you're behind one of those screens. So I know who you are, and Claire also, and Katinka. I'm not sure if I know who Georgie, Misa, or No is. So hello and welcome to you too as well. Okay. Here we go. So Georgie is from Surrey, nice, in the UK, feeling a bit stressed, back at work. Apologies, I can't chat. No problem at all, Georgie. Thank you for being here. And I'm sure you'll take away so much from me coaching others. So just receive and concentrate on work a little bit, I guess. You're welcome. Claire is from Worcester. I probably said that wrong. Worcester. I've said it wrong, I'm sure. Confused, stuck, but hopeful and optimistic. Love those. To feel confused and stuck is normal. And after this call, you won't feel those things. I'm just letting a few more people in. And then we'll get started straight away. Okay, Heather, I'm from TNUSA. What time is it there, Heather?
7:30 in the morning.
Well, it's not too bad. I thought it was like
Nope.
5 o'clock in the morning or something.
Nope. I did just wake up, but 7:30 is not too bad.
Not too bad. Well, thank you for being here. And you said terrified and excited all at once. All the feelings. Hi, Francie. Welcome.
Hello. Hi.
Hi. We're just sharing in the chat where we're from and how we feel in 3 words, and we'll get started just as I'm multitasking, letting people in. Although technically people are now late, so we'll give it 1 more minute, then we'll get started. Then it is what it is. Yes. Okay, and so the 3 questions I asked you on the email, Francis from Germany, welcome, were, I should have this right up in front of me, it was, what do you want in 2000, how do you want to feel in 2024? That was it. The second question was, who do you have to be and what do you have to do in order to feel that way? And the third question was, what is stopping you from having that? And that's where we're going to be diving into. Hi, Nora. So I know Nora from Germany. You feel lazy, stuck, good spiritual health, and came to good decisions evaluating own values. Welcome. Okay, let's get started then. So I'm just going to give anyone the opportunity to unmute themselves and just ask a question or share or ask me anything. If you don't want to be coached, let me know too, because I might start to just lovingly pick on people to support them. So let me just move my chat out the way, and then I'll change my view to speaker. Okay, so whoever would like coaching, feel free to unmute and ask a question. We're here for an hour and a half, so we've got plenty of time. Let me know how I can help. Just observing this morning. Yeah, no worries at all, Sam. I'm just going to mute people until they unmute themselves, so then I can see who's... Okay, so I'm going to give it 10 seconds and I'm going to ask someone if they would like my help. You'll feel more comfortable, I promise, as we get chatting. I know it's a bit daunting to begin with because you're around people you don't know and all of that, but I promise you'll start to feel better. Okay, so I'm going to ask Heather to unmute if you want to. Of course, you absolutely don't have to, but is there something that I can support you with, Heather?
Absolutely. I guess, starting out, the whole being afraid and also ready, like
Mhm.
knowing that you're ready and also terrified to do the work. And just, I guess, I don't know, I've done so much recovery in the past, but it's like inpatient stuff and the things that do not work, obviously. Um, I guess the first step in getting past the fear of the whole it's not going to work situation.
Yes. Okay, great. So I've got a few questions for you to support you through this. How long have you been roughly where you currently are in the eating disorder?
Um, I've had it for 20 years, but I guess like where I'm at with it right now, it's probably been about 2 years where I've been in a restriction cycle. Um, and then a little bit of bulimia scattered into the restriction and just being at the point where I know that I have to stop or I'm going to lose everything and my health and my family and everything. So I guess that little chunk of it, because it changes
Mm-hmm.
throughout the years. So right now, I guess 2 years in this spot.
Yes. So 20 years and then 2 years of intense hell,
Yeah.
I would
Yes.
say. And so
Yes.
how do you feel on a daily basis? Like what are the typical feelings that you feel where you currently are? And of course, as I'm asking Heather, everyone can think about this for themselves too.
Um, Physically, I always just feel weak and like when I stand up, sometimes like I feel like dizzy, like I'm going to pass out, which
Mhm.
is I used to for a little while I was seeing black spots and it really terrified me. And miserable. Like I wake up in the morning and I know there's all these things that I should be happy and grateful for, but I have to talk myself out of feeling miserable first. And I have to work really hard at being present. And that sucks.
Yeah, I get that. And before I go on to my next question, whenever we use the word should, it's disempowering ourselves. So when you said I should feel happy and grateful, if you don't, that's okay because I've been there too. I used to be like, oh, I've got so much to be grateful for, and I'd do a list, but I would just be doing the list to try and
Yeah.
feel better, and I couldn't connect to gratitude at all because I was so low
Yeah.
and so stuck. I felt stuck. We're never stuck, but I felt stuck. So I understand how you feel there. So going forward, then let's talk about the unknown because that's the most scariest thing of all, right? Wondering if it's going to work for you, knowing the challenges you're going to have to face, what you're going to have to come through with this land that's waiting for you, the land of freedom on the other side, that myself and other coaches and other people are saying it's worth it. It's easier to listen and think, yeah, but it's not going to work for me. It will work for everybody else, but not me. And like I said to you in the email, 95% of my clients before I work with them say exactly the same thing. They don't believe it can work, but some reason just believe in me and the process, and that's all I need from whoever I'm working with, to believe that I believe it can work for you. Because
Yeah.
of course you're not going to believe it can work, especially if you've tried so many different ways in the past with inpatient treatment and it's not worked. Of course your brain's then built up evidence that recovery doesn't work. It does work if you have the right support, if you go deep enough and not only focus on eating more and gaining weight, if that's an outcome of you eating
Yeah.
more, which the majority of us it is. There's the deeper stuff we need to do, as you know, the inner child stuff, the trauma stuff, the reasons why you had the eating disorder in the first place. So my next question to you, Heather, if you don't mind sharing, is how is the eating disorder benefiting you? Because even if it's a small benefit, there will still be currently a benefit right now.
Um, I mean, over the years, I guess I've kind of figured out that it is where I get my power. Like I feel like my self-worth and my everything seems like it's about like if I'm showing up in a certain way. So I guess it's my confidence, my worth, everything feels like it's tied to that. And in my mind, I know that's not true, but it's just when I get up in the morning and I'm getting dressed or I'm out in the world and anything that comes at me feels like it's reaffirming that like this is
Mm-hmm.
the only way that you are going to have worth and like yourself, because if I am not in it, like I feel like I hate myself and I hate what I look like and I hate how I show up and I feel like nobody, I don't know, it definitely serves a purpose, and that's the scariest part is not knowing who I'm going to be or what I'm going to be like without it. And if I'm going to, I mean, the other people is one thing, but like am I going to love myself? Cuz I already don't. So like if this goes away and I don't have at least that to hold on to, what will I have personally?
Absolutely. Yeah,
So,
I understand every single thing you're saying because I've been there. And you said something quite key there. You said you don't love yourself currently, but then if you recover and step into the unknown, what if you don't love yourself then? But you don't currently feel like you love yourself now
right.
in the hell of the eating disorder. So one question is like, what have you got to lose?
Yeah.
And the answer already you've given me through you sharing is, well, your identity. Well, who the hell will I
Yeah.
be in? At least at fleeting moments I feel worthy because I'm sticking to this eating disorder rules and all the things. I have a question about your childhood, if you can remember. You
Mhm.
mentioned the word it helps you to feel powerful, and it did for me too, like to feel like in control and sticking to these things, and everyone compliments how thin you are and blah blah blah. And that creates a sense of power. As a child, did you remember feeling disempowered within yourself?
I think so. I mean, I'm an only child, and I feel like when I was growing up, like I had great parents. Everybody always says like, "Oh, my parents are great," but I mean, they are. But being the only child in a world of adults, like I didn't even have a lot of cousins and stuff like that. So I was always, it always felt like I was pushed to the side, like you're just a kid, or like go play, or like whatever, like just pushed. And then also being an only child, like I didn't have a lot. I mean, in my memory, like I feel like I didn't, at a certain point I lost like confidence, and my mom just wanted to give me that, so she would always do it with me or do it for me, like, oh, like let's go over here and make friends or whatever. And I feel like I didn't ever have that internally,
Yes.
I guess. So I think
I
that's part of it.
I feel that too, because confidence does come from within, true confidence, but we can only choose to be confident if we feel empowered within ourselves. So I would intuitively feel that the disempowerment that you felt came first, and this will be for all of us on this call. And then, in order to protect ourselves, because we're very smart, even as kids, even unconsciously, we try to seek power, love, and validation and worthiness from something else. And unfortunately, the world we live in, of course, mirrors back to us that thin is good, fat is bad. Oh, how do you say no to that? blah blah. Like,
Yeah.
it mirrors back to us what we think bring us true love, validation, and acceptance, but that's actually not true. You do get treated differently depending on what body you're in, and that's fucked up and it's not okay. So I'm not pretending that if someone recovers in a large body, they're not going to have a different life experience to if they're currently in a thin body, and that's not okay. But then there comes the question of, is it worth it? What you have to do to stay where you are in the body you have, is that worth the outcome of the way you're living?
Yeah. I mean, no, I don't, it's definitely not worth it. And I know every time I tell my husband, or my husband asks me, like, how are you? Or my mom says, how are you? And I have to lie to them like I lie to myself. It like crushes your soul again and again and again. And my daughter is going to be 6 next month. And I just don't want to show her this stuff anymore. Like, I don't, like, I think I'm hiding, obviously, of course, all the things, but they're smarter than, I mean, she's smarter than I ever give her credit for. She's going to see things and feel things. And I don't want to model that anymore. And I don't want to be that. And I want to survive and see her get married. Like, I feel like if I don't stop, then I don't know how far I'll get like this.
Yes.
So,
With your little girl, I want you to just start to have an awareness of little Heather. So your girl's almost 6. Just intuitively feel, connect to, sense little 6-year-old Heather, right? And imagine that she's asking you things, asking for you to rest, asking for you to eat, asking for you to sleep. And you're the whole time just lying to her, ignoring her, pushing her away, telling her to go away. Like, how do you think she's going to feel?
robbed of her power, of her sense of self, of feeling important, of feeling cared for and taken care of.
Do
All
you
of
think
that gets taken away.
do you think she would feel confident?
No.
No. So that's what's happening. And this isn't to say you're doing this to yourself in a way that you are, but you haven't learned how to take care of yourself. There's
Yeah.
so many needs that you didn't get, that weren't met as a child, which is why we try and seek outside validation to fill the needs that we didn't get met. But the only person who can fill those needs is you, is our adult selves, our higher selves, whatever you want to call it. So I want you to connect with little you each day and just check in and ask how she's feeling and what does she need, because of course she is you and you are her, but it can be helpful to connect to a smaller, innocent child part of you, which is really what's going on, because the majority of the world are 6-year-olds walking around in adult bodies until we've done the work,
Yeah.
right? Personal and spiritual development work. And so I would now like to ask you a big question, 2 big questions. If you, or when you, should I say, start recovery and fully commit to recovery, the journey, what's the worst thing that could happen in your mind?
I mean, I feel like 99% of me is like, well, nothing. Of course, everything would be better. And then, of course, there's always going to be that percent that's terrified of what weight gain means. And like, I can sit here and be like, oh, I'm not really that afraid of it or whatever. But I mean, of course I am, or I wouldn't be still doing this, because that does, it's a safety net. It's it's everything that makes me feel confident. And so I am terrified of that. That would be the only thing that would be terrifying, is how would I feel about me when I, if I gain weight, or if my body changes, or if I don't have the eating disorder and I don't know what my identity is.
Hmm. Okay. And I love, did you notice that when you first started talking, you started off by saying, everything would be better, but then you allowed yourself, because you're so used to lying to yourself
Hmm.
and not being fully honest with yourself and your needs. And I'm so glad that very quickly you allowed yourself to then say, actually, I'm really afraid of weight gain, what that means, and who I am as a person when I lose the identity of an eating disorder.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful to see already. You started off very quickly trying to like make it sound like the best answer, what I want to
Hmm.
hear perhaps in your mind. But what I want to hear is the absolute raw truth and vulnerability of who you are. So, fear of weight gain and how you feel about yourself when you lose this identity. Okay. How do you feel about yourself now in terms of your body and what size it is now?
Um, I mean, I still hate it. Like I can't look in the mirror and not pick it apart. And I don't feel, I feel like if I can put my clothes on that I have right now and everything is loose or whatever, then I'm like, I feel like I'm okay. But
Mm.
if I look in the mirror, like I still hate my body and I still want it to get smaller or change it or fix it or work out and tone it or whatever. Like I still hate it. So
And
now and
it's ironic, right? So when
yeah,
you really get clear on where you are currently and what your fear is, your fear is afraid of weight gain and what that means and how you feel in yourself. Yet currently you don't feel great in yourself. You don't like your body anyway.
right.
So are you willing to trust the process, to trust me and other people who have been through it and come out the other side, to know that even in a bigger body, you can absolutely love, completely surrender and accept your authentic body, whatever body you recover in? Are you willing to be open to the potential of that? Not having to believe it yet, because of course you don't believe it yet. Beliefs take time to build up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And then with your identity, how do you feel about identifying with an eating disorder? The pros and cons. I know you've spoke to it a bit, but I just want clarity for you now. The pros of identifying with the ED and the cons.
I feel like if I accept that it's actually, I mean, it's silly because of course it is, but if I accept that that's where I'm at and that I actually have this eating disorder and I'm not, I mean, I feel disgust and shame. Like I can't believe that that's my life, and especially because I keep thinking like, still that word still like drives me crazy. Like I still have this. I'm still doing this. Like I look in the mirror and I think, how is that possible? Like 10 years ago or 15 years ago or whatever, like I've not wanted this and I've gone into treatment, like I said, a couple times, and every time I've been like, I don't want this anymore. Like I can get rid of this. Like, and everybody there was like, you know, you are really strong. Like you can do this. Like, and then yet here I am, and it's like I'm still doing this, even though I I feel like I want to get rid of it, and then I guess like you said, like I've not actually done the
Mm,
work because I think I'm there. I think I've got it, and then I don't. And
yeah.
so I don't want to have this anymore. Like I don't want in any like I just it's just crazy that I still am doing this and I'm still talking about this. Like I found a journal that was 5 or 6 years old and it's the same stuff. It's saying the same shit. And I'm like, I'm too old for this. I'm too smart for this. I'm too whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Mm.
And I just I'm just so done. And yet I'm stuck. And I don't understand how those two things can exist in my mind.
Mm. I get that. You feel so stuck, but you're not stuck. So the second big question is, what's the best that could happen? So you start your recovery journey, you leave behind the identity of the eating disorder and the safety of that, even though it's hell, you choose to leave that behind. What's the best case scenario could happen?
That I just show up in the world as me and that that is okay and that I feel good about that. And I don't expect sunshine and rainbows 24/7. I just expect to show up, to wake up in the morning and feel like, all right, this is where I'm good. This is my life and it's good and bad and ugly and beautiful all at once and that's okay instead of feeling like, well, I've got to wake up and control everything about what's going on in this day, including my body and what I eat and all of that. Like, I just want to be present and I want to look at people and talk to people and have conversations and not be constantly tearing myself apart in those moments or thinking about something else because my brain is so foggy because I've not eaten, or worrying about if I'm going to die because my heart's going to give out because I've been purging or whatever. Like,
Mm.
just being present and being there. That's, I mean, I don't know if that's best case scenario, but right now that's what I got. Like, I just want to live my life and be
Mm.
present.
You know, if you can imagine, so everything you've shared, if you can imagine it, you can hold it in your hand. So, and I fully believe this, and it's come true in my life and the lives of my clients every single time. So, anything that we want is possible. So, I'm not saying that I sit and envision myself being an astronaut, because that wouldn't be possible for me, but I don't want that either. So this is going to help tie in the it won't work for me feeling. If you can envision that and everything you've so beautifully shared, that is so available for you, Heather. That is waiting for you to step into. And my last question is, it's from a quote, and I really can't think of who said this quote, but it's beautiful. It's asking a question of, are you going to choose the familiar hell over the unfamiliar heaven? Because heaven, I mean, heaven, however you want to see that, what you've described is heaven compared to where you are now, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's available for you. And I've seen it time and time again. I've been there where you are myself in just a different way, and I'm here now.
Yeah.
So, what do you choose?
I want the unfamiliar. I'm sick of living out the definition of crazy every single day. Like, doing the same thing and expecting something different. It's not working. And I have all the evidence of that. And I need the unfamiliar for sure.
And I'm so happy you're here, Heather, because I know the inpatient treatment stuff, everyone is trying to help, obviously, but just working on the behavior and force feeding and kind of motivation, it only works temporarily. And then you go back to life, and then
Yeah.
the reason why the eating disorder was created in the first place, it just comes right back up again, and then off you go back into restrictive behaviors, which is why we do need to go deeper. And the behavior is important, right, to nourish yourself, but
Yeah.
only the behavioral stuff, it never works. So also allow that to tie into the fact that you've tried before, but you've not done true recovery before. So actually this is brand new, and I
Yeah.
know that you were considering working with me anyway, but if when you're ready to take this step, everything what you've shared is so available for you, really. How do you
Thank you. Sounds good.
how do you feel?
Great. I mean, like I said,
Honestly, how do you feel?
I mean, I feel it feels empowering. It feels like I'm taking the right step in the right direction. I mean, it is terrifying. Like I said, like I feel terrified, but I also feel like this is the right way.
Mm,
And it's terrifying to question, like, is this actually, am I actually going to be able to do this, and what's going to happen? But also, this is what I want. Like, more than anything, it's always been what I've wanted, but I've never felt like the steps were going in the right direction
mm.
until talking with you. And I mean, I feel like your voice is like part of my life. Like, I feel like I listen to the podcast all the time, and I don't know, it just feels like the right thing for sure, but terrifying at the same time.
Good. Terrified. I mean, you're
Mhm.
already terrified every day anyway, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You may as well be terrified taking the steps to absolute freedom. And if
Exactly.
you weren't terrified, I would be very surprised, honestly. So, in the practice is, and obviously we could go in this deeper if we had more time, but the practice is allowing the terrified feeling to be there, welcoming it, exploring that without trying to resist it, run away from it, push it away, and then go back to the restriction which feels safe and also terrifying in a different way.
Yeah.
So from now on till we speak again, just be gentle and kind with yourself, and just allow this conversation to brew. Just allow yourself to ponder it without forcing yourself to make any changes. Just allow it to settle,
Okay.
and just feeling is everything. Follow your feeling.
Okay.
And thank you for being the first one. I know I picked on you, but I appreciate it because I'm sure so much other people have got so much from this as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Right, I'm going to put it onto gallery view so I can see everybody. So if anyone else has a question, please feel free to unmute and I can support you through something. you're free. I'm just reading what Misa said. Sorry, it's a bit late. Can you miss? Yeah, no worries at all, Misa. Nice to have you. Otherwise, I will eeny miny mo somebody.
I'd love your support, Victoria, if that's okay, please.
Yes, please let me put you on speaker so I can see you fully, Claire. Nice to see you again. It's a long time.
Yeah, it has been a long time. Yeah, it's lovely to see you again too.
Thank you.
Um, I'm sad to say I'm not that much further on than when we last spoke, probably. Which doesn't make me feel great. How do I ask my question? I don't know if you remember, but my sort of pattern is I'm stuck in a make my days quite tough. It's all about tasks, focusing on work.
And biking a lot, right?
Gosh, you've got a good memory. Yeah.
I remember people, so this is my job. I love it so much. Go,
Wow.
continue.
Um, yeah, all kind of designed around the looking forward to with such immense energy the evening time when I can go, oh, everything's kind of not everything's done, but I've done, what I can for the day, and now I can relax, and that involves relaxation is grazing endlessly on fairly low calorie, but lots of food, so I can eat for 2 to 3 hours, and alcohol is in the mix as well. And I know logically, behaviorally, exactly what I need to do. I need to spread my food throughout the day and find other ways to relax in the evening. And where I get really stuck is a bit similar to Heather. And thank you so much, Heather. It was really helpful sort of listening to your conversation with Victoria. But it's this fear of like, if I don't have this routine of the evening, well, the world's going to end. And it just frustrates me because I've made lists of I could ring a friend, I could do this, I could do that, and some of them seem nice, but nothing in my unhelpful part of my mind compares to that kind of the buzz that I've created with this really unhealthy routine.
I'm going to say something that you might be shocked at, but I'm going to explain myself. When you try and call a friend or have a bath instead of eating is bullshit. Who wants to go on a walk instead of eating? But like, I've tried it all before. That's the don't eat emotionally diet. But what's going on for you is two things. Number one, I would invite you to bring relaxation into your day more often, which will be very uncomfortable for you. And I know the feeling, this is linked to the eating disorder, right? Delayed gratification of something. So I used to do it. Even when I was recovered, I would have like in my business schedule meditation in the afternoon where I would just sit for 20 minutes and just be and listen to something. I would notice that I would like find something to do like the washing or faff around until, oh, I can't meditate anymore. But I was so looking forward to it. And then I was like, what am I doing? And the more I explored it, it was because I had a deep wound, like an emotional wound from childhood, that if you sit still in the day, you're lazy, you're unworthy. So there's so many layers that we can go here. I would first invite you to rest more in the day, even if you start with 10 minutes, mid-morning or mid-afternoon. Eat or don't eat. The food isn't the point. In the evening, what's wrong with sitting and eating a lot of food? That's my second question. Why would you try and call a friend instead of eating?
Yeah, and overall calorie wise, it's probably I need those calories, so there's probably a physiological drive to eat that
Your
much.
body's starving. That the third thing I was going to say is, in general, your body's inviting you to eat more. You can eat as much in the evening as you want, and it's not about having the evening food spread out in the day. It's about eating unrestrictedly for the rest of your life, starting from now. Whether that means having a sausage and mash at 8 in the morning, that doesn't matter. And then as you progress into this, the evening stuff with all the low calorie stuff, when you're eating unrestrictedly, you can be honest with yourself and be like, would I prefer a real bar of Cadbury's or would I prefer this low calorie protein bar fake version of it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's stopping you from eating unrestrictedly and resting more in the day without trying to change your evening routine in any way?
it's got to be fear of weight gain, hasn't it? Because if I start adding things in the day, then and doing what I do in the evening, then I will gain weight.
Okay, big question coming up. Finish this sentence actually. If I gain weight, then ...
I will feel rubbish about myself. And the one thing that kind of is in control then won't be. So then I've got another whole problem to deal with, because then I'll be overweight like I was as a child, teenager, and that was really grim. I don't want that again.
There you go. So if I gain weight, then I'll feel really shit in my body. What was the second thing?
I feel like the one thing that I have kind of got sorted, as in my weight,
Yeah.
will not be sorted. So then, as well as all the other problems in life that we all have, I've now got a weight issue again to deal with.
And this means, and then I'm going to talk to it. So then you've shared that, and then this means, what does that mean?
This means my life will get harder and I'll feel worse than I do now. Life's hard now, but it would get even worse, because probably the most miserable I've been is when I was overweight. So if I have that on top of just general life stresses, then life will actually be worse.
Okay, so what's happening is, and it makes sense, right? Because this is how your brain works. Our brains always refer back to something for evidence to try and protect ourselves, or just to give us information for the future, because the brain's all about survival. So if you've had a really bad experience in your life in general of being in a bigger body than you are now, of course your brain's going to be like, no, we're going to avoid that at all costs. But what's happening here is, and we all do this until we're aware of what we're doing, you're currently creating out of circumstance and not possibility. Meaning, you are not going to be that woman ever again, regardless of whether you have the same body size as that past version of you or not. You're not her anymore. You've outgrown her in so many ways. Even if it feels like you've not really come a long way since we last spoke, you will have in some aspects, because we're always evolving some way or another. Even if it's just experiences we've had that we've done nothing with, we've still got that experience of life. So are you willing to be open to, if you gain weight when eating unrestrictedly and truly stepping into freedom, are you willing to be open to having a completely different experience compared to last time?
Yeah, I am very scared of change, hate change in all aspects of life. I think that's probably one of my biggest blockers. Yeah, like that quote really spoke to me. Choosing familiar hell over unfamiliar heaven. That I will cling to anything just because it's same.
Yes.
I open to it, yeah. But I don't know where I'd find the courage to do, that decision point in the morning while I'm hungry. I'm going to eat some porridge. The resistance that my mind, can't tell you. So, and whether I don't have enough strategies to sit with that emotion, feel it, and do it anyway, I don't know. But that, I just feel really defeated already, because I can just, I've tried, I can see it happening. The first time I try to do any sort of, and you're right, it's delayed gratification. Well, if I eat this tiny little thing now, well, I can have less tonight, and then, oh my god, if I can have less tonight, there's nothing in life to look forward to.
Yeah, I totally get that. That was me. I would, how all these other coaches would be like, well, you need to like add joyful things into your life. And I was like, food is the only thing I even ever want to live for. So I don't care about friends. I don't care about going out. I just want to sit and eat at the nighttime with no one around me in my little binge bubble, and everyone can go away. And that's the highlight of my entire day. And I'm not joking. So knowing that I have felt that way before, and I still love food, and it's a bit sad sometimes because I don't get out of food what I used to get out of food. One, because I'm not starving anymore, I'm not malnourished. So food is just a pleasurable, nourishing part of life. And it doesn't give me the same emotional high anymore either, because I eat unrestrictedly. If I want a pint of ice cream after this call, I'll just go and get one. So there is in life, and this is, I say this and it's a positive way, depending on how you look at it, every single thing in life, everything comes at a cost. There's a trade-off for everything. And we don't like that reality, so we try and avoid it. But living in food freedom, for me, the cost at the beginning was losing the thin body, the control, all the things that we all know that the eating disorder brings us. But what I have gained in retrospect to that initial cost, because the cost feels very big at the beginning, even though it's what I wanted, it was a big cost, but I was just like, whatever it fucking takes. Like I've got like a vision in my mind where I want to be, even though I have no idea how and if it's even possible for me. I'm going to do my best and give it my all. And the gain is worth, I don't feel like I have a cost anymore. There's no cost for me to have chosen recovery. If a fairy godmother came and said to me, Victoria, would you like to have a 6-pack again for no consequence whatsoever? Yes, please, because why not? We live in the society we live in. I liked the way my body looked more then. But now I do not give any shits to do anything about, like, this is what true freedom is. It's not me pretending that I like the way my physical body looks better now than when I had abs. I don't, but my worthiness and happiness is completely separate from my body size. And I'm getting older. We all are. Our bodies change as we get older. Like, the fact that I get to live in freedom without worrying about a wrinkle or without considering Botox, which I personally won't, no offense to anyone that does. I'm just allowing my body to age as it ages. It's such a better place to be. And so I know I've spoke a lot here, but what would be the best thing that could happen? Remember, if you can envision it, you can hold it in your hand. What would be the best thing that could happen if you gain weight? Let's go right to your fear. Let's say you gained weight. You're not the person you was back then. You never will be. Even if you tried, it's impossible to be the woman you was last week, let alone all those years ago. What would be the best thing that could happen in your life?
The word that really comes to mind is free. I just wouldn't have that constant, oh, I can't have that because I've got to do this later. I can't have that. I can't have that. Just to feel lighter, freer. All my decisions wouldn't be based around the same sort of guiding principle all the time in life, which doesn't make me happy. So to be able to, yeah, go and do things that I know I love or once loved that I haven't done. And just, I suppose, control over my choices. That I feel like angry that I don't feel, and I know I do, of course, but I feel like I don't have control over myself, my choices, which kind of speaks to what you were talking with Heather about, that kind of feeling of disempowerment and like I don't trust myself because I've not made decisions for a long time, because it all comes back to the same one decision during the day. So yeah, just to build my confidence, I suppose, in being a more rounded person again.
And you start small. So just to speak to what you've said, you may know of Julia, who was my ex-client, and now she's got her own eating disorder recovery coaching. She's on my podcast quite often. She said something that I loved what she said, and I've asked if I can share the way she said it. And she said, absolutely. She said to me, the thing that she thought she was in control of actually was controlling her. And that's what's happening. We're in the delusion of control, yet the eating disorder has created all these rules. And if we break those rules, what's the consequences? Guilt, shame, disgust, fear, anxiety, panic. That's the opposite to being in control of something. You're being controlled. And so we start small. So if the goal is to eat unrestrictedly, every one of us for the rest of our lives, there's no eat unrestrictedly till you've recovered and then do something differently. No, I eat unrestrictedly. Yes, over time when you're recovered, we can talk about any health goals, adding vegetables in, that type of stuff. But eating unrestrictedly is the goal. So what can you do? And where's my little diagram? You might have seen me on the podcast with this. You've got your comfort zone, your stretch zone, your panic zone. What can you do today that's in your stretch zone not your panic zone. And everything will probably feel like almost everything's in your panic zone, but there will be something that your intuition will give you, a step that you can take today that is towards the life you've described. Because remember, what you've just described to me is so available for you, really, Claire.
Okay.
So available.
How did you gain the strength to, during those early times when you said, you know, the costs were so high, how did you find the strength inside to do what you knew you needed to do to reach that goal of freedom?
Two things. Number one, where I currently was and where I'd had been for so many years, it wasn't working for me anymore. I was done. So and I don't advise this for everybody, but it was real for me. I had to hit rock bottom and be like, I can't live like this anymore. I just can't. So that inspired me to then have my mantra of whatever it fucking takes. And I'm quite you know, my personality, I'm quite feisty, I'm quite fiery. We all have this mentality, all of us on this call, where if we want something, we're getting it. Because who do you think created the eating disorder? We did, you did. It's not something outside of you. It was created as a protective mechanism for how you felt during childhood and life and all of that. You created that monster. And so everything that you needed to have within you to create that is everything that will help you to uncreate it. You have everything you need. So then I did look at my values and I was like, right, my values used to be beauty, commitment, discipline, all of the masculine type of eating disorder loving values. And then I looked at my life and I was like, right, I literally cannot do this anymore. I'm either going to die, put myself into a psychiatric hospital because I'm afraid of my own thoughts. I just can't be with myself anymore. I don't want to kill myself. I'm not suicidal, but I cannot do this anymore. It was that point. Same thing, same shit, different day, same thoughts, different day. Like it's like, what's that film where the day happens over and over and over and over again, right? I wanted more. So it came from the exhaustion and utter surrender of I can't do this anymore. And then a spark of desire came out of nowhere of like, oh my God, what do I actually want if anything was possible? Then I looked at my values and was like, those were my values. Who would someone be who was in recovery, taking steps every day and loving themselves in their authentic body? My top value at that point was courage. So not bravery. I do like bravery feels like, I don't know, you're not honoring yourself and you're doing something to be brave. Courage is an internal strength that each and every one of us have. So then I asked myself, a person who was being courageous, not doing, being courageous, what would they then do? And it'll be to have the fucking oatmeal in the morning, even if I'm shaking and I'm worrying about later. Of course, you're going to have all those thoughts. Because I was having this conversation with a client last week, and the realization, you could see it click. She said to me something like, I had a dessert and then I felt all guilty. And I said, well, of course you felt guilty. And she was like, and I was like, well, of course you do, because you're in recovery from an eating disorder. Do you think you can actually avoid guilt, shame, disgust, and fear? And then she looked at me like I was crazy, and I was like, no, but you only feel these until you don't anymore. You literally, with the mindset shifts, like the trauma release, the emotional regulation, the choosing, the values, all of it together, those feelings start to disappear, and then you start to get excited for oatmeal in the morning. And that's how it progresses. You cannot recover without facing fear and guilt and shame and the feelings that we've actually been running away from our entire life. Yet ironically, we still feel anyway.
Yeah, that you've hit the nail on the head. I think I expect that if this is the perfect journey and this is the way I want to go, well, then it's going to be easy. So when I start getting that resistance and those feelings, I'm like, well, this can't be right, and also I can't tolerate it. Well, yeah, I can. Like you say, I've had to be strong. I've had to show courage in various ways in my life in the past. So it's just, yeah, expecting those feelings, I suppose, and thinking, okay, yeah, here it is, and it's okay because I'm doing.
More than expecting you
Yeah.
I used to be like, I used to put my hand on my heart and say, the worst thing that will ever happen to me is that I will feel a feeling.
Oh, I love that.
How true is that? Or we'll die, which then we go back to where we've come from anyway, and then we actually are in true heaven, whatever that means to you. The life on earth is suffering. The Buddha said that, but I choose not to. I choose to come back to who I am, which is love and peace and all of that. But of course, you're going to be met with resistance. If you didn't, you wouldn't have an eating disorder. You would just choose to eat and then be done with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like everyone I've seen around at Christmas, they're like, yeah, it's a great time, isn't it? You can have loads of chocolate. I'm thinking, God, I'd love to, feel that freedom. And it is, that's really helpful. I think my big blocker has always been the tolerating the feelings when I go to do something that I really want to do
It's because you're
around food.
resisting them. Tell
Yeah.
me if you're resisting the feelings or not.
Yeah.
100%.
Massively. Yeah. And that I think relates to childhood, which was don't talk about feelings, sent off to boarding school, then found food as my comfort, my friend. So I
Yeah.
haven't probably learned how to self-soothe and just sit with stuff. I panic. No, I don't panic about feeling bad, but I will do anything to avoid it.
Yeah. Everyone on this call will do. I used to too. And the thing is, the worst thing that will ever happen to us is we'll feel a feeling, and I can tolerate this feeling without acting on it.
Yeah, I like
Because
that.
you're not the feeling, you're the observer and the experiencer of the feeling.
Yeah.
You're not your thoughts, you're the thinker of your thoughts.
Yeah. So it's creating a bit of distance between, yeah.
That's exactly what it is. Because if you were a feeling, you wouldn't know anything apart from the feeling, but feelings come and go, no matter how strong and overwhelming they are. You're just experiencing a feeling. It can't kill you. It feels like it can, which is why we try and avoid. Okay, no oatmeal, no oatmeal. Okay, fine. And then you feel an anxiety release, which helps in the moment. But the true recovery, the path to recovery, and it gets easier quite quickly, by the way. The first initial point is being like, okay, I'm ready for the guilt. I'm ready, that I feel anyway, and I've gone on in my head around, and around. I'm ready and I'm stronger than this. I can tolerate this, and I'm just going to keep taking one step at a time and reaching out for support and listening to books and listening to and just immerse yourself in recovery. And before you know it, you'll look back and be like, oh my God, what I'm like so far ahead in a week, in 2 weeks, because your brain learns quickly. So your brain's always watching you, right? Because your brain is different to your mind. So when you do something around 10 times in a row consistently, your brain starts to be like, well, I think I might stop making this a habit now, because she's done it regardless of all the shame that I've thrown at her, all the guilt that I've thrown at her, and all the disgust, and she's still doing the behavior 10 times now. So I'm going to consider rewiring this in a different way. And there's no way. And that's why people who say it won't work for me, you're a human, you have a brain, and you have emotions, and you have past traumatic childhood. You can heal the trauma. You can learn how to reparent yourself. You can rewire your brain. It's impossible for it not to work for a human. Really, I don't care how, I've worked with a lot of women who you can imagine their child, like it's not even, you can't even say it out loud. It's so horrific. And I know that they recover because they're here and they're a survivor and they want to recover. That's the biggest, is to want to do it with the right support. Of course you can.
Yeah. And do you fuel the wanting by, vision board and constantly kind of thinking about the benefits of it? Is that the best way to keep that sort of alive?
Connect to your vision.
Yeah, okay.
And this is another one of my quotes that I love. Beyond fear lies freedom.
Oh, brilliant.
Every time you face your fear, you automatically are being courageous, right? Use the fear, whether it's an emotional fear or physical fear of something, you face that fear and walk into it. You're being courageous. On the other side of that is freedom. And my coach said to me, when you start the journey to where you want to be, the first person you will meet is fear. I want you to nod and keep fucking walking.
Brilliant. God, that is absolute. That's gold dust. That is just what I needed to hear.
Don't try and avoid the
Write that down.
fear.
Yeah.
Don't try and avoid it. Don't resist it. It's going to be there. But on the other side is waiting for you, is all of this, is this Victoria freedom person now, which is available for you too. And I was so scared of weight gain. I'd rather have probably shot myself in the head. And I'm not joking. You know that feeling.
Yeah.
And look
For
at me
me,
now.
it's the missing out on the evening luxury as I see it.
You
That
don't have to
not so
miss
much the
out on
weight.
it.
I can't sit and eat on the sofa for 2 hours every night. That's not what I should be doing in life. I should be with a partner. I should be living life, not hunkering down under a blanket eating.
Trust me. Well, you've said the word should a few times, so you're disempowering yourself. And when you eat unconditionally, unrestrictedly, you won't even want to do that anymore. Every night, I look forward to my bowl of chocolate, my cup of tea, and something on Netflix or Disney or whatever. But I also have chocolate in the day if I want it. So it's more so the nighttime, the relaxing, like it's the whole thing I create for myself, but I don't make myself have that delayed gratification anymore. I enjoy chocolate every night with a cup of tea, but I used to have binge episodes where I didn't want anyone near me. I was isolating myself, and I wouldn't be intimate with my partner anyway because I just hated myself. So if he even touched me, I'll be like, oh my God, no, please, no, like I can't. I would rather have been single. And I mean, I wasn't, and he's an amazing husband now. He's worked through it with me, but you will be out there with the love of your life and having fun and allowing yourself to be in pleasure. And it won't be about the food. And I know that sounds like such a alien concept to you, but I've been there. Like I said to you, that food was the only thing that brought me joy in my life. The only thing. And I was like, literally, all I'm alive for is food. That's it.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
It changes. When you change, everything in your life changes. Trust
So
that.
what you're saying is I won't have that same need for that evening routine. That will just
That will
dissipate.
fall away. Your body's starving. The only form of pleasure you're allowing yourself is the rest that comes with the food. There's the isolation because of the shame and the guilt. You will start to want to go out for food. I used to invite my friends, like, hey, do you want to go for a pizza and then to the cinema? And you'll start to want to include people in delicious eating. And then food just becomes food. And again, there is a bit of, again, everything has a cost. The cost of that is now food doesn't bring me what it used to bring me. But I would take the gain any day than the high of the binge and then the shame and the guilt afterwards.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much, Victoria. I've scribbled pages. Thank you.
You're
So
welcome.
helpful. That's amazing. Thank you.
Well, I'm so glad you're here, Claire. Well done for showing up for yourself. Some people have read the email and not come for whatever reason, and that's not meant to be, but you're here and you unmuted, and here we are. Much love to you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. See you soon, Claire. Let me know how you're doing, okay?
Okay, I will.
Okay, good. All right, ladies, let me just see if I've missed anything in the chat. Okay, cool. I don't think I've missed much. Thank you, everybody. So who can I help next? Francie.
Yeah, it's me. I try to explain in English because I'm from Germany. I don't know really how to explain my thoughts because there are so many, and I think that's the thing, because I have done a lot of work, I think, of course mentally, but in fact I did gain a lot of weight this year. And yeah, on the one hand, I know it was pretty much needed, and there are so many people telling me, oh, Francie, you look better, you look healthier. And I always think like, yeah, I know what you mean. Healthier means in my head, you know what I mean?
Healthy means I'm fat and everyone's going to hate me and going to die alone.
Thank you for that. That's in my all the time, because that's what I am thinking when I look into the mirror. And of course, I am listening to a podcast, you know that, and I love your podcast, and it helps me so much. And I'm, of course, reading many Instagram blogs around recovery, around eating disorder, and I still suffer from that thought of not being really sick, because I'm absolutely not underweight, even especially now because I've gained so much weight. But I'm realizing that it's not only the weight gain, but so much more the thoughts that I have, and all the fears around food, around so many rules mm, I got a lot around the last years, rules around carbohydrates and fat and almost everything, and rules about exercising and all that stuff. And it's so hard to let go of those thoughts, because now, okay, I gained weight, and for the most people I look healthier. I start even hating my body even more than before, and that's really that's the hardest part for me, I guess, because I have to handle this body every day, and that's pretty hard. And I am so tired of all those I don't know how to say it, but it's like ping pong thoughts. On the one, I rationally, of course, know that I needed to gain weight because I want to get my period back, and so many more reasons, of course. And I want to honor my hunger, and I know that I need to eat more times a day than only this one meal we talked about. But on the other hand, I think, oh my gosh, now I'm starting to eat emotionally, or I'm so you have written this post about addiction to food or obsession around food. And I so much relate to that, because I always think like, okay, if I'm listening to those intuitive eaters, I should listen to my body, and my body tells me what's enough for me, or what's good for me. And of course, I do have my salads and all those things, but I always think like, okay, when I start to eat just one piece of chocolate, I will never stop it. And even if I am allowing myself chocolate or cake or something, I still crave even more. It's always like,
And
I'm
what's wrong with that?
yeah, I don't know. I feel so much shame around it, because I always feel like everyone is in control, or everyone is listening to his body or her body. And when she or he is feeling full, it's enough, and they are fine, and they are fine with herself. And I always feel like, okay, I will never get satisfied. um yeah, and it's hard to explain, but there's so much.
I can jump in, and I've got a few things to say that's
Feel-
going to help. Yeah. So the trouble with intuitive eating is, and that's why I think I even done an episode, I'm not an intuitive eating coach for these reasons. If you're physically full and you want more food, you need more food because you want what you need. So just let that sink in. This was another mantra of mine. I want what I need. So for example, you tell me a food that you're like, yeah, a 4 or 5 out of 10 with like pleasure or likability. So you give me an example of a food that you eat, but you just kind of like meh about it.
Food I really love. You
A food that you like, but you don't particularly love.
uh I like many of foods, but maybe it's like, I don't like fries that much.
Okay. So if
They
I
are,
came
don't love them. Yeah.
if I came around to you now and was like, do you want some fries? What would your answer be?
I think I would take them, even if I don't love them.
Yeah. And what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
Right? Because when we start to question this, because I want what I need, I want you to ingrain that in your mind. I want what I need. Part of you needs something in the fries or the chocolate or whatever it is. Because if you didn't want it or need it, you wouldn't want it. So have you ever experienced binge eating before?
Yeah.
So think back to
Sorry, it's not like those binge eatings where people are having those calorie intakes around 10,000 of calories or something. That never happened to me. But those binges where I just can't stop over a few hours, and always eating some little snacks, and also green stuff, or healthy stuff, but always eating and can't stop, and that feels like a binge as well.
Okay, this is great. So at the end of those episodes or those experiences, when you do stop, tell me why you stop.
Usually because I'm feeling guilty.
So is it the guilt that stops you from eating more even though you want more?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Think back to a time where you've eaten perhaps past fullness, perhaps not past fullness. Think back to a time where you felt physically and emotionally satisfied. This is the key part of where I want to go here. Completely satisfied. So you can be over full and feeling not satisfied. You can eat a shitload of chicken and rice and feel really full and be absolutely craving a dessert or some sugar, or so tell me. Or you can also have a really rich dessert that just hits the spot and you're not particularly full, but it's just hit the spot. You're good for it. You're just good right now. See where I'm going here?
Yeah.
So when did you last feel truly satisfied?
I think I had that feeling several times this year. Yeah, mostly when I'm with people, because it's more easy for me to eat with people I love when we enjoy food together, and I'm not feeling that bad around it, because I always start feeling bad around it when I'm alone, and I'm starting to realize that I'm not that disciplined and in control and having my rules. You know what I mean?
Why do you want to be disciplined and controlled and have rules? Why? What are the rules there for?
I think it's for me like yeah, it's like it stabilizes my self-worth, because I'm really scared of people thinking I'm lazy, or yeah, I don't know.
We're getting somewhere now. So if you would put that into a sentence, would it sound something like this? If I'm not disciplined, or if I don't follow food rules, therefore I am lazy and unworthy.
Absolutely.
How out of 10, how much does that feel true for you? So intellectually doesn't count, because intellectually we know things, but there's a difference between knowing something and actually feeling it, because I'm interested in the feeling. That's, we live through our feelings. So how much does that feel true to you, that if you don't follow food rules and if you're not disciplined, then you are lazy and unworthy? Out of 10, with 10 being it feels absolutely fully true for me.
It's hard to say, because if a friend of mine would ask me, I would always say, oh my gosh, you are not lazy just because you haven't been exercising this week, or just because you had a pizza or something. But for me, it really feels like it's true. It's like
Okay.
an 8 for me, I
Okay,
think.
so have you got pen and paper, or can you go and get pen and paper?
Yeah.
Oh, you've got one. Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Here. I
Prepared.
took
Awesome.
some notes.
So I want you to draw a big circle. You may or may not have heard me guide someone through this before, but it's really powerful. And I did this a lot, especially with my body image. But we're going to work on this limiting belief that's come up with you that feels true. And you're going to draw a line down the middle and a line across. So you've got like 4 different segments. And then at the bottom, outside of the circle, you're going to tell me and write down the feeling that you feel when you believe the limiting belief of, if I'm not disciplined or follow food rules, I am lazy and unworthy. How does that make you feel? And what's
Write it?
with me? Both.
Okay. Of course, it makes me feel bad about myself,
What feeling is bad? Elaborate more if you can.
Shame.
There it
So
is. So have you written shame down outside the circle? Yeah. And then above the circle at the top, outside of the circle, write down what you would like to feel instead of shame.
especially feeling more self-confident and not that I mean, being vulnerable is a good thing, I guess, but for me it's uncomfortable to feel this. I started to notice that it makes me feel more vulnerable if when I'm gaining weight. You know what I mean? Because people can see my pants are getting tighter and everything gets tighter. And it's for me, it's like when I'm entering a room, everyone only sees those pants which are tighter than last month or something. And it's like I can only think about those things.
Yeah,
There's
because you had what I experienced, and I'm sure everyone on this call also, you don't feel safe to be truly seen because you have so much shame. It's so painful for someone to really see you because you innately believe there's something wrong with you and there's so much shame within the cells of your body and your psyche.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's it.
Just feel that a minute, like hand on your heart, allow that feeling to be there because it's really painful. And I'm thinking back to when I felt that way and I have tears in my eyes because it's a horrible feeling and it's so sad. Just feel that for a minute and just breathe into that and just feel that shame. Because this is what we all avoid, but it's just a feeling and we can feel it and it's not true, but it feels true. Okay. Well done for feeling that. That's what's happening. You're afraid to be fully seen because of the shame you feel. And so the opposite to shame, what feeling would the opposite to shame be for you?
Self-worth.
So worthy.
Yeah.
Worthy. So write worthy at the top of the page outside the circle. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to go around the circle, and this is where you're going to be using your mindset, like using the thought formula, because I mentioned it to Claire, you are not your thoughts, you are the thinker of your thoughts. So that means thoughts are going to come automatically. Those coaches, and I used to be one of these coaches that say you can control your thoughts, is bullshit. If we can control our thoughts, why would we think a thought that we didn't even want?
Yes.
Thoughts are automatic. And they come from the way our brain is wired. This is the exciting part. Your brain is wired with an eating disorder. It's wired because you have feelings and physical sensations of shame in your body. So we attract what we believe about ourselves. So all the experience you've had ever since you were born, your brain is wired to believe that you need to be shameful for who you are. And it's wired that way. So you can rewire your brain by choosing to think things and feel the feelings, reparent yourself and take action towards what you want. That's like the key formula to healing, if you like. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start off with writing in the first segment that limiting belief. If I don't control my food discipline, or what it was, food rules, something like that, I'm lazy and unworthy. If you write that in the first segment, and I'm going to share what we're going to do next when you've written that. Okay, so what we're going to do now is you're going to choose a better feeling. If you can hear fireworks, by the way, I apologies, they're right outside my window, but either way, you're going to choose a better feeling thought than the one that you've just written down, that takes you a little bit closer to feeling worthy. But here's the key part: you need to believe it a 6 or more out of 10. And I can help you if you get stuck, but what does that look like? So the scenario is you're at home and you want to eat something, or you want to eat more. The thought comes in of, oh my God, like I'm not disciplined, I'm not committed, I need to stop, I need to restrain myself. That makes you feel a lot of shame. What could you then tell yourself that you believe a 6 or more out of 10 that makes you feel only a tiny bit better? Because we're going to go round in a circle. The reason we're doing this is because through the law of attraction, through the law of vibration, which we all are, we're all energy, you cannot go from here to here in an instant. It goes against the law, like the law of gravity. So I think it's like 16 seconds, or a very weird amount of time. You focus on one thought for like 16 seconds, you're then able to access a higher vibrational thought. And then you go up from there. So you need to take it step by step. So what's the next thing you can say to yourself that you believe a little tiny bit more than a 5 out of 10?
Maybe something like, I'm not lazy. It's just I deserve to rest and I deserve to eat, because my body just does so much for me and is all the time working. Yeah, maybe something like that. Or just I don't have to make such a big thing of eating a little bit too much or eating not that healthy.
There's no such, I need to interrupt you. There's no such thing as too much. There's no such thing as not healthy, depending on what health means to you. That's the key. So there's a lot to unpack here, and I get very excited when I notice these things, because of course you are where you are, because there's so much that's stopping you. There's no such thing as too much. You want what you need. When you feel fully satisfied, you will naturally stop eating. Here's the thing about intuitive eating. That's why I use the word intuition eating. When you just feel like you've had enough, you'll just stop. When you feel like you want something, you just have something. It's easy, it's natural. And yes, you can choose to feel vibrant and have extra vegetables, but it's an easy, authentic choice. It's no willpower, there's no too much, there's no line that you've crossed. It's just authentic. But the eating disorder hates that, because there's no set left or right, black or white. There's no set lines to stay in, and it wants a clear something to follow to feel safe. So I interrupted you there, sorry, because I wanted to just point out your language.
It's just so hard to believe this intuition thing, because first thing, I really struggle with feeling my feelings and feeling my body and everything. And on the other hand, you read so much about health, about food, about calories and exercise and all that stuff, and everyone is telling you other thoughts and rules around healthy eating, and you get so much on your mind.
Exactly. And that's why
around your Instagram or TikTok or anything, it doesn't matter. You get 10 different opinions.
Exactly. One day coconut oil's the best thing in the world for you, the next day it's going to give you cancer and you're going to die. So the only thing you then need to turn to is this: your body, your intuition. I have a reaction to avocados, so I never crave them. I trust my body on that. I have a weird thing about tomatoes sometimes, and I just never crave them. I love chocolate and like dessert, so I allow myself to just be guided by what I feel like. But there also comes a point where your body's like, yeah, you're good, because it knows it's not going to be restricted tomorrow. So yes, it's shit that everyone contradicts themselves. There's a science to back up with multiple studies that sugar causes diabetes. There's also science with multiple studies to say that it doesn't. There's so much. The only thing we can do is tune into the most wisest thing in the entire universe, and that is your intuition and your body. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, this is going a bit out of the way here, but a sperm and an egg makes an actual person. Like, what? How? Really? Like, it's a miracle. And
Yeah.
your body's doing all this stuff and you haven't got a clue what it's doing. So how about writing in your second segment, I want what I need, or something like that? It needs to be believable for you, or almost believable, because none of it's going to be fully believable. This is the work. And then we'll complete the circle. So does saying to yourself, I want what I need, feel a little bit better than I'm lazy and unworthy?
Yes.
Okay, so we've got 3 segments left. No, 2 segments left, right? 2. So ideally you'd do like 8 or 6 segments on this, depending on how many you need. But what is the next thing that feels better than I want what I need, takes you as closer to feeling worthy as possible, but that is believable or could be believable for you?
To me, I want what I need is quite really close to it. Because really it's so yeah, it's so peaceful to me, such a peaceful sentence for all my thoughts. But I think it could also be like I deserve to nourish myself with food I really love. I don't need to eat low calorie stuff or something like that just to be okay, or just to have the permission to eat this low calorie bar or all that stuff we all know, unfortunately. Something like that, maybe.
Yeah, write that down. And as you're writing,
a whole meal.
yeah, write that down, then share it with me when you've written it. And I'm just going to share something about calories for you, and I know you're writing, but for everyone else too. It's really interesting that we focus, or used to focus, on calories, because when calories don't actually matter, you stop paying attention to them. And what I mean by that is, when we trust and tune into our bodies, and it doesn't just mean only eating vegetables and whole foods, your body will guide you. Your body is connected to your mind. You're all one. So let's not separate the mind from the body. Whatever you intuitively feel like you want is what you want. When your body has perhaps had more than it wanted or more than it needs, because you literally just wanted to eat for pleasure, which is okay because we have taste buds for a reason, your body has got your back. She knows what to do with it. She will either speed your metabolism up, she will raise your temperature, she will build a tendon block that she was building that had a rip in it or whatever. She will store some of it. You'll be less hungry the next day. We don't need to micromanage our bodies. So when we don't need to count calories, your body does that automatically by itself. Just by tuning in, you will be getting what you need. So when you eat whatever you want in as much as quantities as you want, your body will reach its authentic set point weight. If you overeat, in quotes, because there's no such thing as that in the way I'm sharing this, your body will do something with it to keep you at the weight that you are. So if you force feed yourself, or you was an eating competition, your body would do, like I said, raise your temperature, higher your metabolism, make you move more and fidget more to burn those calories to keep you at the weight it wants you to be. The same goes as when you lose weight. If you're in a restrictive eating disorder, your body is going to be, unless the anorexia gene is switched on, when that's switched off, your body is going to be fighting you to get back up to where it wants to be at its natural healthy set point. So it will be fighting everything you do, which is why you eat past fullness, because your body still wants to get, it's got a mission. Your body's on a mission all the time. It wants this is my set point weight. The weight I'm at now, which I don't know because I don't weigh myself, is my healthy set point. I eat loads at Christmas because there's more food, don't change. I eat less because the Christmas food's gone, don't change. So calories don't matter to me, because it doesn't make sense to count, because I don't need, does that make sense what I'm sharing? Like, calories don't matter. because we can't control our body size unless we live with a restrictive eating disorder for the rest of our lives. So when we surrender to that,
I have to believe that, but it's so hard to accept this set point weight because I all the time think I am failing because I've gained weight, and it feels so much like I failed and I need to get back on track and all those things.
so why does it feel like a failure if you've gained weight? And everyone will have the same feeling, by the way, here. Why do you feel like you've failed because you've gained weight? How could that actually be the opposite of failure?
Yeah, it's just because of this laziness and no discipline thoughts.
Yeah, and that's a childhood wound of yours that if we were working together, I'd love to explore that, because that's a story that feels true for you. And because you believe it since a child, because you've had an experience or you've been modeled that behavior, we attract what we believe about ourselves. So you will find people, places, things to reinforce your belief to be true of, yeah, I'm unworthy and lazy if I haven't got discipline. And then we're stuck in this reality of, but how do I then change? Because it feels so true for me and everything's reflecting back to me to reinforce my belief. It's just a belief. So have you got a dog or a cat or a child?
No.
Are
Nothing.
you in, have you got parents still with us?
Yeah.
Do you love your mum?
Yes.
Okay, so do you know that you love your mum, or do you believe that you love your mum?
Both.
Which one, if you had to pick? So I believe I love my mum, or I know I love my mum.
I do love my mom. I believe and I know that I love her.
It's a fact. You know it in your core.
No. Yeah.
Right? So a belief can be changed. A knowing is stronger than a belief, and a knowing is something like, for my personal knowing of spirituality, it's not a belief for me. I know, and I can't describe how. I know that we don't just die. I just know it. I can't describe it because it doesn't make sense. I don't need to describe it. It doesn't matter. I know that we don't die and that's it. We do something else. I know that I am worthy regardless of my body size. It's not a belief anymore, because when we come back to our true essence, which is infinite self-love and worthiness, it's stronger than a belief, where currently you believe you're unworthy and lazy if you don't have discipline. That's a story that feels true for you. If it were true, it would be true for everybody in the world at the same time. It's not true for me. Can you see? Because a belief, if you imagine like a table and you've got a piece of wood that you're going to create this table out of, and you've just got one plank of wood. If you create a belief, you're putting legs under that table. So let's say you've had experiences from when you were younger and you've got 4 legs on this table. It's quite a steady table of this belief of being lazy and unworthy if you don't have discipline. Because you believe, you attract what you believe about yourself. Every experience you have is another leg under that table to cement that belief in place. So you've probably got thousands of legs under this table. The table is so strong and sturdy. So our job, your job, is to take one at a time, a leg out away from that table. So then you're left with like a very wonky table that's not very strong and sturdy, and you can see right through the bullshit. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a belief. It feels true, and I don't want to take away your feelings. That's why I ask you to just feel into the shame, because we can't bypass the feeling. Like, it sounds cliche, but we have to feel it to heal it. It's the only way. So as you work through this mindset stuff, you need to feel what's coming up for you. And then let's finish the circle. So what was the last one that you wrote down?
I have written, there's nothing wrong with having whole meals and calories.
Okay, how much should you believe that out of 10, with 10 being fully believe that?
It's still hard, but it's an 8, I guess.
Great. Okay, that's amazing. So the last one, what can you think that's a slightly better feeling thought than that one, that's going to take you as close to feeling worthy as possible?
Maybe something like I am not my body. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not your body. If
My, my
you
body.
had your, sorry, go on, Francie.
I've lost the word in English, to be honest. My body doesn't define my worth.
Yes.
That's
How much
one.
do you believe that out of 10?
I really can't believe that, but I really want to work on it.
Put that down to work on that then, because, or you could write down, I'm working on believing the truth that my body does not define my worth. Does that feel better?
Yes.
Yeah.
So much.
Every day I get closer to the truth that my body does not define my worth. And just as I was saying to everyone about your, as I started talking, when you said you're not your body, if I came, not me, because that would be really mean, if someone cut your arms and legs off, you would still be you with no arms and legs. So you're not your body because you'd still be you. So we think we're our bodies and we live in a body, we have a body. Our breath is connecting us to our body. Without our breath, would be in the spirit world. So our breath is important to just be with and just to listen to and just to connect to. But your body is the least interesting thing about you. Your essence, your mind, your personality, your intelligence, the way you see life, that's what I care about. And people in your life who only care about your body, then fuck them. They don't deserve to have you in their life.
Yeah. Thank you.
And so act that way. So the last part of the puzzle is going through that wheel, for example, daily, writing it down in your own mind, feeling the feelings that come up, and then acting as if you believe the last thing you've written down, my body does not define my worth. Act that way. It will feel like a bit like you're faking it to begin with, but because you've done the process of feeling and exploring and writing and being gentle with yourself, then you can act as if, and then everything starts to shift from that place.
Yeah. It feels very, thank you,
How do you feel?
better.
Good.
It's like a hug, hug for myself.
Good.
Thank
And hug yourself. Let's all hug ourselves. Like I like stroking my arms like that. It's really nice. And just, do these things for ourselves. Like people might think it's weird or whatever, but we have to reparent ourselves. We have to give ourselves the stuff that we never got. It's not our parents' fault. They didn't know how either. But only we can. And we get to start now. And each and every one of you has everything within you to do this. And I hope you've received all of my love as well, all of you, as we've gone through. Let me put you on so I can see all of you. As we've gone through this hour and a half, goes so fast, right? But thank you all of you for being here. And it was just my gift to you. Just because I can. And I had time today. So I love to do this. So sending you all so much love. You're welcome. And I'll see you soon. I want to say it's obviously we're in contact, but do I say your name Iruka? I don't know if you want to unmute yourself or whether you can. I know you said you was at work, Iruka. You're welcome, Francie. Okay, Iruka, perfect. Well, I'll see you next week, my love. Nora, I'll see you in the group. Katinka, I'll see you on our group call. Francie, Heather, Claire, Misa, I will hear from you and let me know how you're doing. And sending you all so much love. Any questions, just reach out. Mwah. Bye, ladies. Bye-bye.
Bye.